So, son, I mean, you are my son, but I pretend for this interview that you're someone I know, all right?
No, I'm your son. It's fine.
All
You
right.
just ask all the questions as though you're asking for the audience or for somebody who doesn't know us that's, that's curious.
Okay, I am so excited because I heard you did a phenomenal run. First of all, tell us your name and how old you are and what you did.
Sure. My name is Michael Estrich. I am 34 years old. And I went ahead and decided that I wanted to test these things I was learning. So I'm learning about psychology. I'm learning about how if you back up the psychology with the physiology, that you can actually do amazing things and you can do unprecedented things that you originally thought were impossible. And so I've always been into running. I ran at the AR50 in 2013, right before I moved to China. Since then, I haven't run intensely at all. I did a couple of runs in China here and there just because I love doing it. I love getting out there. I love having the endorphin releases and stuff like that. Then I came back to the US in 2016, and I started running as much as I could, but I had two kids, right? So one after the other, bang, bang. And so I didn't get a lot of running in at all. And over the last 6 months, I've only run a handful of times. But I say this just to kind of preface it that running has always been something that I've loved to do. And it's something that it's always challenged me and gotten me to great vistas and stuff like that. So the idea behind this, again, was just to see what the human potential is. Is it truly limitless? Is it truly something where if you apply some of these principles that I was learning, you can do things that you would have otherwise thought you could not do? So now, obviously, I'm a believer. And so
what did you do that was so spectacular?
Exactly. So I ended up, so the last month or so, I've had two fun runs. Both were under 10 miles, about 1,500, 2,000 feet of elevation max. And I went ahead and went out on Tuesday at 5 p.m. and I ran. I just ran. And the intention was to run for 24 hours and just see how far I can go. I ended up running for 27 hours. I got around 5,500 feet of elevation gain, burned around 12,000 calories. I ran 70 miles. 70 miles, and I had I believe it was around 21 hours, maybe 22 hours-ish of active time. So then that other 5 to 6 hours was basically just downtime. It was time that I was resting, that I was eating, that I was refueling, that I was doing whatever, but I wasn't actually moving and active. So, and
that answered a couple of my questions right off.
Awesome. Well, yes. And the crazy part too is that I'm impressed by this. Like I was not expecting to be able to break my personal record of AR50. I was just, again, going out with the mentality of having fun and just seeing what would happen if I tried these techniques that I was learning.
Okay, so this was this, it sounds like a spontaneous decision.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't really plan or prepare or muse on it during the night before, so
It was literally like 2 days. I thought because Leah, my wife, went out and she had about 2-3 days she had 2 days, one night to herself. And she went to Monterey and she was just getting a reprieve, and she was like, you should have the same thing. You should go out and have a reprieve. You should have some alone time to yourself, I think. So I thought, okay, cool. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Like, how am I going to organize this? And I just had this, I was thinking to myself, like, I'm taking 2 weeks off of vacation. I want to do something epic. I want to like go out there and challenge myself and all this stuff. And I want to have alone time as well. So I was like, what am I going to do? And then the idea just came into my mind. And I was like, oh, I've always wanted to run for 24 hours. I've always wanted to do that. I knew that was something that I was going to try one of these days. Because I wanted the challenge of not just running for a goal, right? Not just running to run 50 miles, not running at 100 miles, I wanted to run with sleep deprivation. I wanted to run with like trails in the dark, and having all these other challenges in place that a 24-hour type of run would have. So it was just like a perfect fit. And so literally it was like a 2-day thing. I thought about it and I was like, that's the thing I'm going to do. And it was just, everything dovetailed so nicely, right? I wanted to try out these physiologies, the psychology stuff. And so it was just a perfect fitting. And I was like, that's the thing I'm going to do. And then 2 days later, I did it.
Oh my goodness. So Michael, to make this kind of a run, would you say that it takes drive or discipline or what?
You absolutely, I would say, well, I think a big part of it for me was actually preparing, but not knowing that I was preparing, because I eat a very clean, vegan, plant-based diet. And that I think is huge in order to be able to do something like that, because it allows my cells and my muscles to recover very quickly and to be under stress for a long time. And then another huge element was hydration. So I've been hydrating really well for the last couple of months, And so my cells, my whole body was just like extremely well hydrated before even going out. So I think that those things were massive. Having the, I wouldn't say it's determination, but it would be more of a conviction, like it's a matter of certainty. Like I knew I was going to go out there and I was going to run for 24 hours. I didn't know how it was going to unfold. I didn't know what things I would encounter, but I knew without a doubt I was going to go out there and I was going to run for 24 hours. It's going to happen,
Wow. So give me an idea of what kind of terrain were you running on? Where was your run? And had you ever mapped it out before? So did you have an idea of what your route was going to be?
Great question. I did. So I went to my favorite spot, Rancho San Antonio, which is right here in Cupertino area. And I went up my favorite trail, PG&E Trail. I went all the way up to Black Mountain, and I specifically wanted to go up there and I wanted to go up there at night and while the sun was setting, because it's above the clouds. And for the last couple of days, I've been getting up, because I normally get up at 3 a.m. And I was getting up and it was cloudy sunrises, which are fine, but they're just not, they don't make my heart sing like the nice, beautiful sunrises that come out where you get like the clouds and the colors and stuff like that. So I was kind of missing that. And I knew that getting up there and above that elevation, I'd be able to get a really nice sunrise and I'd be able to see the clouds and the sun's setting behind the clouds and going down and lowering into the clouds. So I knew it was going to be like really good. And then another part of it is that I did want to be on trails that I knew when it got dark, larger trails where I knew the terrain. I knew if I go left, if I go right, type of thing, I can kind of figure it out. In this case, I went to a lot of trails that I had never gone to before, but I always knew like how to get back. And I always knew, and I was using All Trails, the app as well, so I can like navigate a bit. But it was a very comfortable place. It was a place that I definitely knew. So I think that was definitely helpful.
Well, that is really interesting. So what kind of equipment did you take? And maybe I should have asked you, you did this all like with pristine food. You didn't have any enhanced supplements or, anything like that, because you were trying to see the physiology of your body and how it worked and how you acclimated to the different elements, I would think. So give us an idea of what was the terrain like? You said that you had some elevation of 55 feet, I think you said?
5,500, feet of elevation.
Feet.
Yep.
Wow. So this was mountain terrain?
Absolutely.
And some carved out trails, basically.
Yep.
So what kind of equipment did you take besides your app?
So I took a light. I had a headlamp, and then I took a backup light. It's actually a light that I use for my bike. I took that guy. I took 2 battery packs. Both were 5,200 power battery packs. And then I took 100 ounces of water going out, and I supplemented that water with this. It's basically called, my little guys call it hydration water, but it's a hydration multiplier that has been backed by science. So it's basically a combination of like salt and sugar and then some flavoring agents, and it works really well. But basically, it gives you 3x the water absorption into your cell than just standard drinking water would. So you drink a liter of water, it's the equivalent of hydrating your cells with 3 liters of water. and it's because it has those extra calories of the salt and the sugar in it. It's about 50 calories per pack. So I took that with me. I took a bunch of like snack type foods. I have these like basically these bars. They're about 330 calories each bar, and there's like a chocolate chips and a pea protein. I took 4 of those with me when I was set out. I took I took Justin's hazelnut spread in the packages. I took I think 3 or 4 of those, and those are just like quick calories, fats, you know. And then what else did I take? I think anything else? I think getting started. Oh, I took these. There's these vegan carbohydrate type of gummies. Basically, there's these little blocks, and I think it was around 200 calories, 230 calories a package, and I took 3 of those with me. So that was the kind of the phase 1 equipment. That was basically all I could carry. Oh, and I took my thermals. I took my thermals because I knew it was going to get dark and it was going to get cold, especially up there and then going down. And then obviously I'm above the clouds, so as I run down through the clouds, it's all wet, you know, like you get a bunch of liquid and this mist and stuff like that. So I took my thermals. I took a change of socks, which was so nice. It's like I think that like the change of socks is so mental. Like when you take a break after running for like 16 hours in my case, and I'm just like take off my shoes, put my feet up for a minute, and then change my socks. It's just like it's a full refresh. It's so weird. It's the most like minor thing, but it's such a big win when you're out there and you're just like covered with dirt and sweat and stuff like that. To put new socks on, it's just always so nice. What else did I take? Obviously cables to charge my devices. So cable to charge my headphones, a cable to charge my actual cell phone with the battery packs. I think that was pretty much it.
How heavy would you say your backpack was?
I would estimate it was probably 25 pounds in that range.
Wow. So did it ever feel like 150 pounds?
Yeah, it did, because I'm so used to running those hills with no weight on. I don't even wear a shirt most of the time when I run, and I just wear my running pants, and I don't even carry water half the time. So it's just generally like maybe my cell phone in my hand, maybe a fanny pack type of device. I throw my in with a little bit of water, like half of a water bottle filled. So normally I'm really light when I'm running those hills. So it was super contrast. It was a super big contrast to have this quote unquote heavy backpack on and to be like running up these hills and it was just like, it was a psychological thing again, because I was like, wow, you know, I've been running for 2 miles, 3 miles, and I'm already feeling this fatigue. My legs are starting to feel like this. Whereas normally I'm on those hills and I don't feel any of that. I don't feel anything until I get to the top, you know? So it was definitely interesting to have the pack, but again, it was just it was psychology. Once I started to think that or to feel that way, I shifted my focus away from that and I focused on everything else, all the beauty that was around me, all of how excited I was that I had the ability to do this, how grateful I was that I had this body that was able to actually do this and to run like this, you know. And then, you know, chest up and deep breathing to like and get my cells oxygenated and stuff like that, and then just literally physiology, so a smile on my face and then saying hi to people as I would go past them. And that completely changed the tone of the run and got me out of that mindset and got me out of thinking about how my muscles were feeling or all those worries that were kind of building up in my mind, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I was going to ask you if you hit a type of wall, and then what did you do? Did you give yourself a mantra, or you just said you decided to change your mental thinking and smile and look at the benefits of your experience right then and there, and that kind of pushed you through? That's
exactly
amazing.
Yeah, that was it exactly. So it was at about 7, 8 a.m. in the morning, at that point it was about 15 hours in, where I thought I was done. I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to make it type of thing. Like I knew I was going to be out there, I just didn't know if I was going to like keep running or how much walking I was going to have to do and stuff like that, or how many miles I was actually going to be able to cover. So at that juncture, I remember sitting down at a bench and going, this is a problem. Like, I'm really starting to feel it. I'm like fatigued. I'm tired. I want to sleep, like I'm really starting to not feel so great. Like all these things were running through, all these fears and running through my mind. So then I said, no. I said to myself, no, I am going to trust my body. I'm going to listen to my body. My body needs to rest right now, which it clearly does, and I'm going to give it rest. So I put my legs up on the bench and I rested there for a half an hour, like literally a half an hour. And this is the longest rest, quote unquote, that I've had up to this point. I did have a longer break before that when I met a guy at the top of the hill who was showing me all the constellations. And he was like telling me, like, oh, there's Orion over here and there's this over there. And he was like pointing out all of the planets too. Like there's Mercury here, Venus here. And it was so bright and vivid up there because it was above the city lights and everything. And so I actually saw the Milky Way. Yeah. And I saw this comet that was up there, and it was a once in a millennia comet that's up there for the next 2 weeks. So I saw that.
Oh my goodness.
It was amazing. I saw satellites going by, and he was pointing. I was like, "What is that?" And he's like, "That's a satellite." And I was like, "Whoa!" And you just feel the enthusiasm for him. So I spent about an hour and a half with him. So this was like my second break that I was starting to really feel like, oh boy, this is a bit of a problem. But again, I was like, no, I completely trust my body. I know my body can do this. And that was kind of my thought process. I know you can do this, body. If you need rest right now, take as much rest, as much time as you need. Like, no pressure, no rush. We're having fun. We're going to go out and explore. Like, this is going to be a beautiful thing. And so I did that resting. And then after about half an hour, I was like, okay, now I need to fuel up. I think this is my body telling me it needs fuel. So I went and looked on my phone, and I found that there was a Philz Coffee 2 miles opposite way from where I wanted to go. And at that juncture, I was like, 2 miles, I don't think so. I was just like, I don't think so. And it was literally like going up over this overpass that I had already run like up and then down over. So I had to go back up and down it. So I was like, okay, but I'm going to do it. A good cup of coffee is going to be worth it. So I went up it and went over, and normally I get decaf, but this time I got half calf. And so I think that was actually another big thing, is like not having caffeine for the last like 90 plus days, and then having a little bit of caffeine. It's like having the first cup of coffee you've ever had, And so that amount of like buzz or wire that I got from it was just like massive. It was massive.
Wow.
So it was like really like I felt fully recharged when I was done with that. Like my legs were feeling good. And I also stopped at Safeway on the way over there. So I got like a bunch of food. I got some bagels. I got more peanut butter. I've got more Cliff Bars. I got a bunch more water and stuff like that. So by the end of that session of having the coffee, having the Cliff Bars, using the bathroom, putting my legs up, I brought a massage cream, so it's like massaging my legs a bit, because I did that on the Air 50 at the halfway point, and that helped a ton too. Massaged my legs, and then just sat there enjoying it, like focused on positivity as much as possible and gratitude as much as possible. And then like butterfly flew by, and I was just like totally into the butterfly and just like full focus on the butterfly, taking the focus off my body, off of the feelings I was having or any negative associations I was having, fully focusing on that. And by the end of that kind of 2 hour mark, I was like 100% refreshed. And it was maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, but 100% refreshed, like ready to hit it hard again. And I was excited. And that was another thing. It was like changing my mind to being excited about, where am I going to go next? What am I going to see next? How am I going to explore? What is all this going to be like? And then just following my intuition too. So it was just so much fun.
Well, I love that, because I was wondering what was going on in your mind. And I was surprised to hear you say that you encountered another person on the trail. And so one of the questions that I was going to ask you was, sometimes in that solo run, I'm wondering if runners ever have a feeling of loneliness in a way do you prefer to run singularly, or would you like a companion? Or, did you ever have moments of feeling like, oh man, I really wish I was sharing this experience with someone?
Yeah. It was when I was watching the sunset on the top of the peak, and I was by myself, and it was just so beautiful. Just like literally like it reminded me of the sunset I saw on the top of Mount Fuji. Like, because I was above all the clouds and I saw the clouds rolling in, I saw the fog settling over the city, and then I saw the sun come down and then cast beautiful light onto that sunset, onto the fog, and then I saw just the different colors in the background as well. So it just reminded me of like the most amazing sunsets I've ever seen in my life. And so in that moment, I really was missing like Leah. I was missing like any friends or any companions just to share that with. Thankfully, I had Instagram though, so I did post it and I put it on there. So that gave me that sense of connection, sense of like contribution and things like that. So I did
Oh,
have
that's
that.
very cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool. I wondered if that connection was there. You talked about, we've heard about sunrise and we've also heard about the evening, the meteors, and the middle of the night. Was it a hard mental transition from daylight and relative feeling of safety into the night and the darker hours, and even the transition with cold?
Yeah.
What was that like? And what does the runner have to mentally think about to keep acclimating and accepting the difference that he's running at that point?
Yeah, that was the big transition. Like when I put on my thermals and I was like, okay, the sun's gone, that's when it was like that I knew like going into it that would be the most challenging time of the run, period. Because you don't know how long your battery's gonna last. Like it could go out at any time, right? You don't know the terrain 100% because you're on a mountain. So you could easily run into a rock that wasn't there beforehand. You could easily run into a wild animal, and there's a bunch of coyotes, there's a bunch of mountain lions up there. So it's just like there are a lot of things that could go through your mind if you allow your mind to stay in that state, and you allow your mind to go down those rabbit holes of fear. So yeah, those transitions were big, and that was definitely, especially right in the beginning after the sunrise was over, after I had eaten my quote unquote dinner, and when I was alone. So yeah, I think that it all comes down to the mentality. Like it's all about where you put your mind, what you put your focus on. If I had stayed in focusing on the fact that it was cold, or focused on the fact that it was dark and I couldn't see things, if I kept focusing on that, I think that my whole body would have reacted. Yeah, my whole body would have reacted, and my muscles would have become tight, right? And then if I'm running and my muscles are tight and I'm running in fear, then I'm going to be much more prone to tripping and falling. My muscles are going to. It's almost like every step I take in that fearful state would have been the equivalent of like 10 steps or 20 steps in a happy state, right? It's almost like you can think of it as like skipping and just la 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 and having such a good time, versus like because when you're in that fearful state and you're worried about like all these things, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I wasn't practicing caution or I was just ignoring and being oblivious to certain risks that were out there. It was that I was aware of them, but I wasn't choosing to focus on them, especially the focus on the ones that were not directly in front of me, right? So yeah, that was a big mental kind of transition, and that's actually kind of goes nicely into like why I ended up getting off of the mountain. So I ended up encountering 2 mountain lions.
Were
Yeah,
you prepared for that? And did you,
I
I mean, did
was.
you at a time think, if I get a mountain lion, that I'm going to A, B, or C?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So a
We want to
lot.
hear
So
about that. We
okay,
want to
so
hear this mountain lion story.
sure. So real quick, I'll back up to even preparing before the run. A lot of it was mental preparation before running. Like knowing with absolute certainty that I was going to be out there for 24 hours was huge, but then also visualizing it, visualizing what it would look like if I sprained my ankle up there. What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? What would it look like if I got attacked by a mountain lion? What if it was a severe attack? Like, all of these things, like going into that path of thinking and then understanding this is how I'm going to react. And then this is what I'm going to do if I do have a mountain lion encounter. This is what I'm going to do if coyotes or wolves surround me, right? Like this
Give
is
us some
just,
ideas. What would you have done? What was your plan?
so my plan was if a mountain lion attacks me, I'd treat it like I would treat a dog. So I've had a lot of encounters in the past with dogs who have come up to me and have had ill intention, right? And so I've shut that down straight away. And it's like, look, here, I'm 109. It's this type of attitude, this type of mentality. I'm a 190-pound human being. I am a bipedal ape, whatever you want to call me, okay? But I'm 190 pounds. I have muscle. I have rocks all around me. I have sticks all around me. If you're going to try to take me down, you're going to feel some pain. You're going to feel some serious pain, bro. Like it's basically that mentality, and it's communicating that, right, to the mountain lions. It's communicating that through your energy, through your physiology, right? Like the big thing is that if you see a mountain lion or you see a bear or anything like that, you get big, you get loud, you shout, you are direct with them, you're not challenging them, i.e. like, hey, I want to fight, but you're letting them know that if you're gonna come at me, you're gonna experience some pain, and being very confident of that, right? And so that was my approach, that was my mentality of it. And I had whistles. So on my camelbacks, I had 2 whistles. So I knew that I'd be blowing those whistles, and I'd be just like shouting, I'd be like, hey, get out, if you're type of thing. Hey, go home. This is not okay. That type of thing. And then stomping my feet, picking up rocks, that type of thing. And this is if they're coming at me, right? Otherwise, I knew if I saw them, I was just going to keep going, keep on my path, but make sure they knew that I saw them, type of thing.
Oh, that's amazing, because I think I personally might have fainted, and then my big problem would have done so
yeah.
well.
So I'll tell you my story. So the first mountain lion I saw, I was running down the hill, and it was at the very top of Black Mountain still, maybe like half a mile down. And I look down the ways, and I'm like, oh, there's this little cute like bunny over there, and I see his little eyes and everything. Oh, it's so cute. And so I get a little bit closer, and I'm like, oh, that's not. Oh, and then I like look closer, and I change my light because my light has different levels of intensity. So it was at a low intensity. I was like, ooh, that didn't move like a bunny. And I clicked in, and it was like full brightness when I was looking right at it. And it was a cub. It was a baby. And I was like, oh, it's like, oh, not a cub. It's like, oh,
no.
Because like you get a mom that's like, thinks she needs to defend her cub, or like is hungry and stuff like that. That's so much harder to negotiate with than just like lion who maybe hasn't eaten for a week, like if she thinks I'm attacking her little cub or trying to catch it or something, like she's just gonna go berserko, and that's just not what I want to deal with, right? And that wasn't one I had prepared for.
So how did you get out of that? How did you escape that situation?
I saw it, and I was like, run quickly. I was like, the mom, I haven't seen the mom yet. I saw the cub here. The cub was not near the mom from what I could tell. The cub was like doing its like hiding thing. Like it ran off, because it was on the trail at first, and then it moved off of the trail into the bushes. So it's like, okay, the cub is like, it's clearly like going away. It's unsure. Like I saw the cub, and it was scared of me, type of thing. So I was like, okay, that's a good sign, because maybe mommy's not around, or maybe mommy went out for a hunt somewhere. And so
So your head just really thinks thoughts like that really that fast?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just take in the whole thing, and I just assess it to the best of my ability, and then I go, okay, well, this is what it looks like, and then I was like, okay, so what is my best option here? It's keep running, and to run probably faster to get as much distance as I can from this, situation.
Did your adrenaline kick in, I'm guessing, a little bit?
It wanted to, and I definitely, like when I first saw it and I realized that's a mountain, I clicked in, and I was like, clear as day. You could see the cub, see the ears, like clearly that is a cub, like no doubt about it. My adrenaline gland did fire off a little bit, but I felt that, and I was like, no, relax.
You harnessed it.
Exactly. And so I relaxed into it, and I said, because I knew that would not help me. That would do the opposite of help me. It would hinder me. So yeah, I basically just kept running, ran a little bit faster everywhere that I could, but only a little bit faster. I didn't want to burn myself out. I still had a ton of run left to do at this point, you know. So yeah, I ended up going down, went through all the mist, didn't encounter another lion until I was kind of towards like, I'd say like 3/4 of the way down PG&E trail that I was on. And it was just like it was the situation that you don't want to be in. So there's basically like this concavity right here, and it's built up on, and the trail is down here. And so basically there's elevation and you run around it like that, right? Mountain lion's right on the freaking top. And I'm like,
Oh, my word.
So it was interesting though, because I was just running, keeping my focus at where I wanted it to be. And I was very vigilant at this point. It's already seen the other one, right? And even though it's pretty far away at this point, I'm still like vigilant about it. And I'm making decisions. I'm like, should I exit this, mountainous area? Because my original intention was to stay up there all night and then see the sunrise in the morning, because I wanted to see it at the elevation and like all that kind of stuff. But I was questioning now after I saw that cub, right? Especially that close to the trail and everything. And so I was like, should I go? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, but I do know I want to run down this way. And because there's another ledge. Basically, I can go down to the bottom of PG&E, and then I can go past the farm, and I can go up on the other side of the ridge. That's what my plan was, and that's what I was doing. But as I was approaching that area, and especially right when I got there, I felt this like weird, eerie presence. Like, I don't know the only way of describing it was like, you know how your foot falls asleep and you feel tingly? It was kind of like that, like almost like I felt this tingly, and I was like, whoa. And I looked up and boom, saw it right there, like the eyes in my thing. And I was like, oh, what is that? And I did the thing where I clicked in my light, and my light gets full force, and 100% mountain lion for sure, right there on the top of the ledge. And I'm just like, ugh. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I know I'm getting off this mountain. And so I ended up just staying calm, staying cool. And I just kept my run, but I made sure the light was straight on him as I went around the whole time. So like, if this is the mountain lion here and I'm running all around him, I was keeping my light on him the whole time, or her, whatever. And I was making sure. And when I put my light on it in full force, it crouched down. And so I was just like, ugh. And so,
oh my word.
The craziest thing happened though, because at that point, like I can only control my mind so much, right? And so at that point, when I first saw that, and I was like running under the underpass, basically where it can easily pounce on me, type of thing, my adrenaline fired off, and I was like starting to run a little bit faster, but I was also keeping my cool because I didn't want to show him that, or her, that I was running from it, right? I wanted to make sure that, hey, I see you, and I see you, and I'm big. So you can try to take me down. I know you take down big deer, but I'm going to give you a fight, type of thing. And I'm weird because I'm making all this noise, and you're going to make all this noise, and like all that kind of stuff. So
were you blowing your whistle and stuff?
At this point, I hadn't blown my whistle because it wasn't coming at me, and I didn't want to
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my plan for if it was actually going to try to progress, or if it was coming towards me. At this point, it was just sitting there and like watching me, type of thing. And I think it was just deciding.
Wow.
Yeah, but I basically kept going, and my foot, I think it was my right calf, started cramping on me, and I was like, no, not right now. Not right now, not right now, not right now. I was like, come on, guy. I'm like shaking it. I'm like, come on, guy. And this is like literally right as I'm passing underneath.
Oh my word.
I'm like, no. Relax. And this is where I think the mind muscle connection came in really, really well. Because like going to the gym, they talk about it all the time, right? You can curl away at the gym. And if you just curl it absent-mindedly, you're thinking about other things or whatever, you're going to engage your shoulder, you're going to engage your back, you're going to engage your forearm, you're going to engage your grip. Like all these things will be fully engaged into your curl. But if you focus all your mind power on your bicep, and you focus purely on the movement up and down like that, and you really focus on squeezing the bicep at the top, your bicep will actually grow. Your bicep will get so much more workout, and at the end of that workout, your bicep will be sore. Whereas in other cases, the bicep might not be as sore, or it definitely wouldn't be as sore, and your forearm would be sore, or wherever your weak spot is in that chain of lifting is going to be sore. So if your shoulders are not developed enough, it's going to be your shoulder, your back, things like that. So it was applying that mind muscle connection to my calf at that moment, where I was like, no, relax, you're going to relax. This isn't going to happen right now. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep moving, type of thing. And so, yeah, it was just so uncanny that I was like, I was in a bit of disbelief that at that exact moment. And so the only thing I can attribute it to is the fact that I did like fire off the adrenal glands, and I tightened up my muscles so quickly, you know, and I got scared, you know. That's, and going into that, that's what triggered my calf to cramp. So.
Wow. So when did you have a sense of relief? I mean, did you ever get a sense of relief, or did you stay hypervigilant?
Yeah, I'd say about half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile away from that spot, I got kind of a sense of relief. But up until that point, I was still like very frequently looking back, you know, and making sure I didn't see any eyes. I was, you know, headphones off, listening to the sounds. I remember my arm was scraping against my strap on my backpack, and it was going shh, 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 and making that noise. And at first, when I first picked up that noise, it was a very subtle noise that I didn't pick up on for the whole run because I had my headphones and this and that. So when I first, I was like, what is that noise? You know, and I kind of like tripped myself out thinking about it.
Right.
And then I realized that, oh, if I stop my arm here, it goes away. Now if I keep running, it's gone. And then I run normally again. Okay, stop. You know, so I realized that it was there.
Wow.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
amazing.
definitely like 3/4 of a mile to a mile away.
And so in all that animal encounter, each time there were no other people around, did you ever see anybody else on the trail?
No,
only that
no.
gentleman that one time?
So yeah, there's a backpack you can hike in, and you can camp there. And so these campers were camping there. And those are the only people I saw at the top of the mountain. Those are the only people I saw this time.
Was there anybody that was kind of,
Hey guys.
was there anyone that was aware of you, as in, was your wife tracking you and making sure that you were still moving? No? So you were just, it was like you were running solo, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole intention. Like, I wanted to do it 100% no support. Like, I wanted to do it all on me type of thing. And so carry all my stuff, like go buy whatever I need. Like, it was 100% self-supply type of run. And so yeah, there was no app tracking or anything like that.
Oh, I see. Wow.
With other people, obviously. I used Strava and captured on Strava.
So if you were Kitty Stu, we might not know. Just had to.
I mean, Leah would know. Leah would understand. Like, oh, he went out there. There's probably an issue, you know, that type of thing.
Right, sure.
And I was on like the main trails that are frequented regularly. So like people would see my remains.
Oh well, that's not very consoling to your mom. So, Michael, when you were running for the majority of your run, did you have music on? Were you listening to something? What type of genre of music was it? Was it upbeat to be motivated? Was it peaceful to keep you relaxed? Or did you prefer to have nothing? Did you have a mix of those?
I listened to an audiobook for I think the first like 6-7 hours plus of the run.
Tell us what that was.
Think and Grow Rich is the name of it. It's an awesome audiobook. Like it basically was saying the exact same thing as what I was learning about psychology and physiology. And it was so interesting to hear it from this perspective, from the perspective of Think and Grow Rich. And it was basically like the whole premise of the book is like the guy wrote it and wanted to capture like all of the things that these great thinkers like Einstein, Edison, the Carnegies, all these people, like what allowed them to grow rich, like, and it was their thinking. It was purely their thinking. And so literally it was going into all these examples of how you can use your thinking to grow rich. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting that I chose this book at this moment in time when I'm learning about all this psychological impact of what you can do and how you can do things. So yeah, it was basically saying the exact same thing as what I've been learning in other areas. So.
Are you trying, do you aspire to grow rich? And if you
Oh yeah,
do,
yeah. That's a huge goal of mine right now. That's my next like
why is that?
main goal. Financial freedom, stability, um, living a life of adventure. Like it is, money is an empowering thing. Money is something that gives you energy and gives you the ability to impact other people's lives in a very substantial way. So my goal is to make $10 million in the next 5 years, and then before I die, I want to give it all away. So that's my plan.
That's a lofty dream.
That's my
A
goal.
lofty goal.
That's
Wow.
the life that I want to live, and that's the life I
That,
want to lead.
that's so amazing to hear you say that today because, as I told you earlier today, I was going through pictures of our time in Africa in 2005.
Mhm.
And I was so reminded of how impoverished they were and how when I got back to the United States, I couldn't decide which need is more vital. Which need should I be addressing right now? Is it the wells? Is it the orphans and the orphanages? Is it the orphanages and what they need, dryers or mechanical things to help make their day easier to serve these kids? Or is it the schools? Is it the villages, malaria, AIDS? I mean, there was so much. So, I mean, I could see it. Is it the humanitarian part of you in some senses of the word that would like to have monetary wealth so that you could dole out and serve them and help them? Is that what you're looking at?
Exactly. Yep. I want to make $10 million and then become an angel investor, and then take all the proceeds and use it for philanthropy. That's my goal.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also,
So the one,
it comes down to me and also living the life that I want to live, right? Which is a life full of adventure, a life that I'm not, you know, holden to these corporations and like spending so much of my life working for them and making more value for them, right? I want to be able to capture all this value, and I want to be able to benefit from this value. I want to live in a comfortable house. I want to, go on vacations and give life lessons to my boys and do all these things. And money is that way of doing that. And then obviously, like I gave someone $150 the other day, and he was like, he had a passion to do photography, but his computer was dead, and he is working this job that he just didn't feel like he had the money to go and buy a new CPU type of thing for his computer. But that was preventing him from uploading and doing something, contributing to the world and everything. So I was able to easily just pull out my wallet and give him $150 and not think about it. That's the type of life I want to live. And that's where I see money coming into my life and being able to do that on a bigger scale, right? Like I want to be able to go to places like Africa and be like, you need a well, I'm going to dig you a well, you need school, I'm going to build you a school, like doing things like that on a larger scale, and then continue to do these things where I can connect with people and I can help them in that way. Especially when there's a need to or the best case scenario would be to find people who feel like they don't have the means to get to the next step of their life. There's this website that does microloans basically, and it gives like $100 loan to someone in an impoverished country so they can go out and they can build a business. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. And I want to do it here in the US, so do it all over the place, Hey, you have a dream of creating a cafe and you have a passion and desire for it. I'm going to give you the seed money, $10,000 to get it going or something like that. And I'll be an investor with you and I'll help you, and like all that kind of stuff. Like literally helping people change their lives, and helping them live
how would
life
you
as their dream.
say, what gave you that kind of passion?
I don't know. Maybe you.
Oh,
Maybe my mom.
oh. Well, that takes me back to, tell me about one of your earliest experiences of running. Do you have a good story about your very earliest, develop a love for running?
Sure, I got a good one that pops in my mind. Let me get my power cord. I'm running out of power.
Oh, okay, all
I'll be
right.
right back.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure how many questions she has. So maybe another half an hour or so. All right.
Okay, so you're going to tell us about your early experience running. Maybe a great.
Right. So yeah, the very first experiences running obviously were with you and around the park. And I think what it was, and one of the things I remember most, is that running was something that was very hard for me. It was something that I thought, I'm not a runner, I am not a runner. It doesn't jive with me. It's hard. It's this and that, and especially distance. I remember when I would go out with you, I'd always run as fast as I could, and I thought running was that. I thought running was sprinting. And then I remember the time where I lost my shoe, right? And we were running.
That's the best story ever. You have to tell it from A to B. It's so good. You want me to tell it?
If you want to. You can tell it. You want me to.
I love this story so much. So it's one of my very fondest memories. And then I really meant to bring out my little reward that you used to always give. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But my favorite story is Michael and I used to run together. It didn't matter if it was cold out. We sometimes even like to run in the rain and then go get a freezing cold Frappuccino so that we get that cold head rush. And, and we would race to this pole. We had this pole. It was about a 2-mile run. And of course, I'm older than Michael and I'd been running longer than he had. I figured, he's strong. He's a strong boy. He'll be a great running mate here. And so Michael is very competitive and very driven. He gets a goal and he aims for it. And he was determined that he was going to beat me. Several times I would beat him as he was new to running. And I knew that there would be a day when he would probably do that. And so I didn't know the day that we went out that, he was locked in. He was absolutely, there was no way he wasn't going to win this race.
Yeah.
So I'm on for the challenge. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I got this. And I'm not going to throw the race. I'm going to make him earn it. I'm going to run as hard as I can. And I'm running and oh my goodness, he passed me. And I'm like, I was surprised that he passed me. And I'm watching him and all of a sudden I see his shoe slipping. I'm like, oh no, his shoe is slipping. He's going to stop. I'm going to have to take the race because he's going to lose his shoe and he's going to have to get it. His shoe came off. He kept going. He did not stop. His pace did not wane a bit. Then I see his socks slipping off. And I'm laughing so hard because the determination in my son was he was going to win this race. And his sock came off and it was somewhere back on the sidewalk. And oh my word, he made it to that pole and he totally took that race. It was so fun and it was so brilliant. It was really, really exciting. And do you remember, Michael, that you used to give me this little color crayon bear? Remember the little bear that were actually friends? You and your brother, for every time I ran and I didn't stop, which I never stopped, but you guys would go into Rite Aid and do the little wind-up gummy thing and put your quarter in or whatever and buy me a little trophy bear. I have probably 35 or 40 of them to this day, and I meant
to. You still have them? That's awesome.
I still have them. And I was going to say, you deserve at least half of my stash for all the huge distance that you've done. But it's incredible. And I do know that you are a very determined person. When you set your mind to something, there's absolutely no stopping you. That has just been who you are. And I think we should kind of get back to your race because I really want to know how it was nearing the end of your 70-mile feat. I'm just still.
Yeah, that was amazing, really. I was talking with some people on text, Dominic, Jordan, Ari, and Leah, and I was just like, I was telling him that, I was feeling amazing, and it was kind of mind blowing. I'm feeling so good right now. It's literally like, how you hit your second wind when you're running? That's what happened after Phil's. So after I had my coffee and after that, I just hit my stride. I found my perfect stride, perfect cadence, and it was just like, and it was literally like I could run forever. Like, and I've had this happen a couple of times to me where I just literally feel like my body has completely fully accepted that it's going to do this until I tell it to stop, you know? And
Wow.
that's just the way it is. And my body is like full release, like, okay, fine, just let me know when you're done type of thing. And so I felt that, and I was running around this like circle-y area and just doing laps. And I was like, well, how many miles should I go? I'm like, I'm considering 60, 63, 66, 69. And they were like, I like 69. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And so I ended up like saying, okay, I've got to power down my phone. So I powered down my phone to airplane mode because the GPS will still work on that. And I conserved like all my stuff because at that point I was like, I know that I could do another night out here, and I could absolutely keep going, and I could go for a long time, you know, like I probably do another couple of days right now at this point because I like figured the formula out, you know. It's like, okay, I know what I need to do. And when my body starts to tell me things, I have to listen to my body, and I know I have to focus on gratitude, and I have to focus on life and love and attention to like the beauty that's all around me, and talk to people. Like when I was running, I was like saying hi to people and like doing this and that type of thing, and that exchange changes your mindset always. It's constantly shifting your focus. And so when you're doing that, it's just like I felt like I figured out the formula, and I did, because I know for sure I could keep going. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to be out here for another night because my batteries are all dead. Like my flashlight's gonna be dead, my phone's gonna be dead. Like I'm just not prepared to be out here. I can do it, but I don't want to, you know. And I got to get back to like the boys and like all this stuff. So it wasn't the right timing for it. Maybe in the future I'll do something where I just go until I feel like, and I'll have it supported. Because another big thing I learned was the nutrition and the stuff that I was eating, it actually had the opposite effect on me than I had hoped. So my system was so used to whole food, plant-based diet that when I start eating all this like cookies and Cliff Bars and processed foods, it was a detriment to my system. It was actually like slowing me down, weighing me down type of thing. So I basically, yeah. And so I hit that number. I was like, okay, that's the number, 69. That's what I'm going for. It's a great number. And so I basically I had that number, but I ran out of water at 63. And that was a problem because it was kind of like the deal I had with my body, which was like, I'm going to keep you hydrated, and I'm going to keep you nourished, and I'm going to keep you going. You have to give me everything you can do type of thing. Like, I'm going to make sure I'm listening to you, and I'm going to make sure I'm preparing for you. So I was like thinking about it, and I was going through it, and I was like, okay, body, I'm going to have to push you here. I'm sorry, like, but this is happening, you know, because I don't want to run like 3 miles back to go get water and then try to run 3 miles back over here, or try to figure out another way of running 3 miles. So I was just like, this, you know, you'll be okay. Like, this is your home stretch. I'll get you there. You'll have all this water and that type of thing. So I just kind of kept going, but it was hard. It was significantly harder to do that because I could feel myself being dehydrated. I feel my lips starting to tap, feel my throat moving and stuff like that. So a couple of times I was tempted to ask somebody for water because I saw a couple people like walking around with water around that area. But I was like, oh, the whole COVID thing, and like, And so I'll be okay. You know, I just know I have to push through. It's a little bit harder, a little bit less enjoyable than I would prefer.
I see. Wow, that's good. I came across a quote when you said second wind. I thought this was really good. Most people never run far enough on their first wind to find out if they've got a second wind. That was good. And then I really liked a few things that sound like you. They kind of sound like something that maybe you would have written. The body achieves what the mind believes. You're really big on that. And I think throughout this whole interview, I've really picked up on how you talk to yourself. You really give yourself that energy through a dialogue with yourself. You can do it, and you're thinking positive. And I love brought in the element of for things, because there is a benefit to focusing on the positive and the beautiful and the things that nurture your life instead of pulling you down with the negative, right? That's
absolutely. That was
really
huge,
amazing.
and that's what I was going out to test. I was going out to test if this gratitude mindset if you do all this self-talk, and if you focus on it and you truly believe something, if you can actually accomplish it. And then again, you back it up by your physiology. So not oh, I believe it, yeah, I believe it, I can do it, but I believe it, I'm going to do it, this is going to be my reality, this is how it's going to be. Conviction, you know, like believing it with conviction, like here, like making it an emotional type of a connection as well, because that's what's happening in the brain, right? We're firing and firing neurons all the time, and they always want to cluster them together. So when you associate more pain than pleasure to an item, it goes in that direction, and it gets wired that way in your brain. But you can unwire and you can rewire stuff to associate more pleasure than to whatever it is that you want, right? So I'm doing that right now with my psychology and pertaining to like money and pertaining to like how I'm going to make the $10 million and like all that kind of stuff. I'm associating a lot of pain to not making it. I'm associating a lot of pleasure to doing it. And how am I doing that? I'm really getting into myself, and I'm really like feeling it, and I'm doing it, and I'm telling myself stuff with emotion, right? Like with loud volume, with like patting myself on the chest, with, you know, really feeling it, open eyes, and like talking to myself and saying it out loud with conviction, talking to myself in the mirror about it, like all of these techniques. Because all you're doing is you're using that neurons that wire together, fire together, and you're reprogramming your mind. You're literally going in there and reprogramming your mind. Because that's all the mind does. That's how the mind gets programmed. That's how it works.
That's kind of interesting. But you're not really saying that a person who has not been a runner, or a person who's maybe only done 3 miles a day, they can't just get up and go out there without some plan, preparation. And wouldn't you say some synchronized running, like you increase your pace and your distance throughout the months before you
So it all
like what
depends.
you've done? I
It
mean,
all
it's just,
depends.
you just
It
can't
all
do
depends on what you're doing, right? If you just want to go out there and you want to see how far you can go and you want to run for 24 hours, you can absolutely do that. You can absolutely go out. Anyone can. Anyone. Give me the fattest person on, you know, the couch potato, whatever, and I can get them. Now, you're going to have a huge difference in results, right? From someone who is a couch potato and he's obese and like not physically fit at all. Huge difference in the amount of terrain that they're going to cover and how their bodies can react and recover from it. But again, I go to the recovery phase for me, right? Like I literally was not sore the next day. Like
that's what I was
nowhere near the soreness I was for the AR-50. And it was because of the way I was thinking. When I was thinking, I was literally using mind muscle connection, and I was relaxing my muscles into it. My muscles the whole time were loose. They were not tight at all. I was making sure to keep all my muscles loose muscles like that. Like you see how my hand is loose right now? And then you see how my arm is tight right now? That's the difference. So if you go out there and you run like this and you're flowing and you're just kind of going with it, then anyone can do it. Anyone can run a ton of distance, a ton of terrain, all that kind of stuff. Now, there's going to be a huge difference, right, in someone who's well hydrated and keeps their body nice and clean and is eating good food versus someone who's not. It's just the way it is. But anyone can absolutely do it.
So do you think your boys will be runners like you? Are you going to encourage them to do it? Are you going to insist that they run with you, or what's your plan? I think they'll probably just like it because you and your wife run, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've already been talking to them. They see me going out and running. They're like, "Where are you going, Dad? What are you doing?" I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to go to the gym. You know, that type of thing. Can I go, please? And it's like, oh yeah, when you get a little bit older, and I've taken them out a couple times, and I've done running with them, and we run up and down the stairs and all that kind of stuff. So they seem to definitely be already eager to do it, and it's something that they want
that's
to do.
wonderful.
So I would be
that is wonderful.
I've received so many benefits from getting out there and running. Like, I honestly believe that our bodies are designed or created or evolved, whatever you want to put on it, but our bodies make up our biology is designed to run. You're just runners. Like if you look back and you look at people who are saying, oh, when we were in Neanderthals and stuff like that, the way we would catch our food or catch our prey is outrun them, right? Like, we have all of these ancient tribes, we have these isolated cultures in like the Amazon, in Mexico, in Africa especially, and that's what they do. They just gravitate towards that. They have no influence from these technologies and stuff like that. And what do? They go out there and they run. They just cover tons and tons and tons of miles. So I think that our biological makeup is in that vein. So I think that running has huge benefits for everybody. And I think that especially, like, you see the dopamine released in the brain and the what is it? What is the one main compound that gets released when you're running?
Oh, endorphin?
Endorphins, yeah. You get the endorphin rush. You get the endorphin rush and all that kind of stuff. So it's just like, when we have those things, our brains just get flooded with happiness and with joy and with like release of all these pressures and stresses and things of that nature that we would carry along with us on a daily basis. Like, I'd be hard pressed to find, like, every runner I've talked to and I've interacted with, they seem to have the same thing talking, the same course. Like, I run because it's such a beautiful escape. It's such a beautiful release of all these things I'm talking about. My mind just kind of sits on the back burner and I'm just running and enjoying nature and all that kind of stuff. So I think that it's a part of who we are as a collective, and I honestly think that we don't do it as much running as we should, nearly as much running as we should on a day-to-day basis, mainly due to our sedentary lives. Like, we're on computers all the time, we're sitting indoors all the time, and stuff like that. And we can adapt to it. We clearly have adapted to it, but when it comes to the optimal life and living your best life, I think everyone should have physical exercise, running especially, involved in their life as much as possible.
Is running on a treadmill the same as running outdoors?
Absolutely not. 100%.
And you recommend the outdoor run, I'm sure,
Absolutely.
for all the aesthetic reasons, number one. And
exactly. And not only that, but you're getting fresh air in. Like, especially if you can go do a trail run, you can go by the ocean, you can go into the forest where you have all this greenery, all this nature, where you're getting that fresh oxygen from the plants, getting fresh, salty sea air coming in. Like, some thoughts I've heard is that there's feminine and masculine energy out there. The masculine energy is that up front, we're going to get it done, that type of thing. And feminine energy is very, very subtle, very sitting back, very flowy type of thing. And so when you go out into nature, the idea is that you're getting feminine energy, and you're allowing that feminine energy to kind of balance you. And it speaks to me, like, because when I go out and I see a beautiful flower, or I see a little critter crawling across, or I see a beautiful fern, or I'm climbing up and I'm seeing a gorgeous sunset or a sunrise, like, that changes my state. It changes the way I'm feeling. It changes my mood, my mentality, everything. And it kind of grounds me. It sets me back into like a balanced state. Because otherwise, like, when I go to work, or doing stuff like that, it's very, very masculine. It's very, very like cutthroat. Like, who's going to be the best? And I'm going to beat you. And I'm going to do this in competition. And how can we do it faster? How can we do it better? How can we do it more efficient? It's not good enough. Better cost down. It's like all this type of stuff. So when you get into nature, it's the exact opposite of that. It's like, hey, all those cost downs, all those savings don't matter at all. This is what matters. Small, right, subtle growths of these little saplings, these little ferns coming out, the butterflies, the flowers budding, and it all being natural and wild and not cut up, like, you go to Starbucks, you go to a shopping center, and all the shrubbery is all just chopped up and everything, and it's like, we're going to put you into a box, you little fern, you little bush, we're going to make sure you look good and clean, cut edges and all that kind of stuff. So it's just that I think that has a huge impact on our psychology and on our psyche when we get out there and we do that and we experience that. So running allows you to see a lot more of that. Biking allows you to see more of it, but biking to me is too fast. Like, I go too fast when I bike, where I end up not taking in the granularities of what I want to take in. And running is just that perfect thing, because I see something like a bug or a salamander or a snake. I saw a snake when I
Or
was
a bird.
yeah, and yeah,
So
and so I
what
can pause and take that in.
what has been your very most favorite thing that you've seen while you've been out running? I'm sure there have been a lot of things, and I've heard a few things, but what has really been one picture that has stayed with you and it just kind of permeates your mind a lot?
Mm. Now, like on a competition run or just any run in general?
No, just any run that you've ever had. What has been something that has just been, wow, I never want to forget this. I never want to.
Mm. There's a lot of things that kind of pop into my mind. I guess one of the most powerful one is the AR50. There are two moments really. I was at the halfway point, so like 26 miles in or so, and I thought I was done. You know, I was like, oh, this is it. There's no hope type of thing. And Steve, my friend Steve and Leah were there, and they were encouraging me, you can do this, you just keep going type of thing. And then Steve massaged my legs and Leah massaged my back, and I literally took on that energy. I took on that feeling from them of I can do this type of thing, and I was like, okay. And I think at the time I didn't fully grasp it. Now I look back and I see it for what it really is, and it's that. And this is something that I've come to a realization over just in the last year, is that I can do so much more with people's help than I can without. So why not let people help me? Up until pretty much last year, I was very much independent. I'm going to be a self-made man. I'm going to do this all myself. It's all going to be me. This kind of ego, pompous type of attitude. And now I've had this huge realization that it's not me, it's we.
Community is so
team.
much better.
Yeah. It's working together to a mutual goal, and having those right players in the lineup at the right time. That's what's going to make you successful. Anyone who says they've done it themselves or say they're self-made is full of it, because no matter whether you read a book and that book impacted you, no matter if you talked to somebody, no matter if you had a mentor, no matter you had a partner, you had a wife, you had whatever, some inspiration, you have been impacted. Those people have put an imprint on your brain, and you've resonated with that, and you went for it. Yes, you were the one who pulled the trigger, and yes, you were the one who got up at 3 a.m. every day and got yourself into the gym, made sure you were doing all this stuff, right? But it's all of the other people that came before you that put those ideas out there, that proved to you, or at least inspired you to a degree to say, this is possible. It might be possible for you to run 70 miles. It might be possible for you to do these things. Those are the people that have trailblazed it for you, and they have inspired you to do it. They've given you that gift as a human. So once I had that kind of realization, then it's just like, okay, now I'm allowing people to help me. I remember when I was growing up, I'd go over to Dominic's house, and I would never want to eat their food. No, don't give me their food. I don't want to be a burden on you, because that's the way I would see it. Now I'm switching that mentality around. It's not that I'm a burden on you. It's that you are giving me an offering of love. You are wanting to bless me here. You're wanting to enrich my life by doing this. And I thank you for that. And I'm going to be responsible with that gift. And I'm going to make sure to use that gift to the best of my ability to empower others and to take it and make it tenfold better, right? So.
Yeah, and be a gift giver to others along the way. That's
exactly
really nice. Well, this has been so much fun. Is there anything else you wanted to share specifically about your run?
I think we covered a lot of good stuff. I got a lot of good kind of memories in there. I think I've covered the vast majority of the kind of most impactful thing. I think one last thing to put out there is that, like, having a destination, having like a target of some kind is crucial. Like, I knew I was going to be running at least to Menlo Park, and I knew there were a lot of different routes to get there, and I knew I had to at least get to that hotel, the Hotel Nia in Menlo Park. And I knew once I got there that I was going to be able to go into the pool, and I knew that I was going to be able to go for a swim, and that having that kind of reward in my mind and having and feeling it, like really visualizing it and feeling what it's going to be like to get in that heated pool and be in that beautiful hotel room after being dirty and sweaty and like tripping and falling, like all this type of stuff, I knew that was going to be a huge motivator. So having that goal and linking it to that thing, that's what I'm doing with the 10 million right now. I'm linking the reward to being just amazing, beautiful life that I can live in. I can live in a beautiful house with guest quarters and have people over and bless them and get them off their feet and have them start a whole new life and be able to go to the store and buy whatever foods I want and have the organic foods and have, all these wonderful foods that are good for me. And, so it's really that whole linking of that more pleasure than pain type of thing to like, because it's pain right now to maybe give up things. Obviously you should change your mindset, and so it's not pain, it's pleasure to get up early, it's pleasure to do these things because it's getting you to where you want to go. But some can associate that with pain or with sacrifice, and so it's having that reward at the end of the tunnel that's super big, that allows you to really solidify, really be into what you're doing.
That's interesting. You reminded me of Florence Chadwick. Do you know Florence Chadwick? She was a swimmer, and she was swimming in the fog one day, and she was so exhausted. She couldn't see the end of her swim. And because she couldn't see the end, she gave up prematurely. And when she realized the next day, she was so close. She could have finished easily. She was within a mile or two. And so that's a really good reminder to keep your eye on that goal, even if there are things that inhibit seeing the full vision. Keep going, even through the fog. Don't stop. Keep pushing and keep going. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. That's totally good. Great story. I mean, keeping going even when it's looking the bleakest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because you never know how soon the dawn is going to appear.
Right.
The night always, there's a saying, the night always looks the darkest before the dawn.
Right. That's a really...
So it's the same thing. Like, obviously it's going to look the darkest after you've been in the dark for 7-8 hours, but that's when the dawn comes. So if you hold to it and and you have that certainty, that fervent belief that it's going to happen, then it doesn't matter what perils come your way. It doesn't matter what obstacles you have to overcome. It's just another thing. It's just like, okay, that comes my way. Okay, bankrupt. Okay, no problem. I'm going to start again, And it's having that mentality. That's what makes it. That's what gets you to where you want to go.
I think that you've been very inspiring. I've actually learned a lot just in our conversation, and thank you so much. I really like the takeaway to focus on gratitude and just how inspiring, even to move through the fearful moments of like the mountain lions, because that would totally trip me up. But you kind of made me kind of feel like, okay, I think I could do that. And I think I've learned a lot just from listening to your story. And so thank you so much for sharing.
Well, thanks for putting all the questions together and being here and listening to me. I appreciate it. It's really beautiful because obviously you can do these things, but it's like the whole tree in the forest, right? If it falls, does it make a sound? Well, it makes a sound if someone hears it. So it's that whole thing. Like I can go out and I can do all these great things, but are these things great if no one knows about it? Or even my work, like at work, I have a hard time sometimes where I do a lot of really good stuff and I add a lot of value, but people don't see it. And I have a hard time like tooting my horn about it, because I have all these negative associations about it. But being able to have this kind of dialogue and be able to have someone that's active, that's interested in like passionate and like, whoa, how do you do this type of thing? It's that sounding board and that to me is the definition of synergy. That's a synergistic relationship, and you're able to do these types of things. And that's what really this whole world is about, this whole life is about, is creating synergy and then meeting up with people and being part of people and doing more than what you could do by yourself. So
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. I think we should say hi to your beautiful boys.
I think they're eating dinner right now. So
Okay. All right. Well, we'll catch you another time then.
I can turn the recording off if you want to say hi to them.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Thanks, Mom.
That was super fun.
Yeah, agreed.